What is up, creatives? It's Jahrell. Welcome back, and man, we are going to talk about it. WWDC 2020. The keynote happened yesterday at the time of filming, and I've got a lot of thoughts. Let's get into it. First things first, if you're new to the channel, I make weekly tip and tutorial videos as well as tech reviews on all things music production so that you can make music freely. If you enjoy that kind of content, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can be the first to catch the next one. So just a little context, I've been using Apple products for under a year now. So this is my first WWDC. I'm a longtime Android user, Windows PC user. Being someone that's gotten the chance to work with a lot of different Apple products recently, I was super stoked to see WWDC. So some things that happened. Number one, iOS 14. The hype is real. Now, to all my Android folks out there, believe me, I get you. I know, Android's been doing this stuff for years, but there's good reason for Apple users to be excited, okay? First off, the app library. Apps are now being able to be put into a single page at the end of your home pages. So you've got your constant lists and rows of apps that you don't want to look at and honestly probably have no idea they're there. Instead of doing that, I mean, you can continue to do that if you want. And then at the end of all of that is the app library page, which has app suggestions as well as your recent apps curated for you. And then all of your apps are grouped by category. And the most commonly used apps out of those categories are going to be at the top of those lists. And for me, that is awesome. That's what I already do with my iPhone, with my iPad. I group everything into folders by the type of app it is. This just makes it a cleaner experience for me. And the fact that it's curating my apps based on what I use the most is actually really helpful, probably more helpful than just having a regular app drawer like my Android devices. But that's dope. Also, they allow you to hide the screens that have your pages and pages of apps. So you can have as little as one home screen and then the app library and you're set. Another thing that's dope in iOS 14, widgets. Again, we know there's people that have done this before, but thank you, Apple, for finally listening and finally doing this. Widgets are now being able to be put on your home screen, and you can have them in varying sizes. They look pretty dope, if you ask me. They look a lot better than some of the other implementations I've seen of widgets. They look a lot better than the translucent widgets that we've had for a while in iOS. So I'm stoked for that. Apple actually introduced their own widget called the Smart Stack, which is essentially a revolving list of widgets that will show you what it thinks you want to see at a certain time of the day, which I think is pretty dope. But yeah, that's widgets. Those are the two main things when it came to the iOS 14 update. There's a lot more to it than that, but a lot of the other things are small, like things for Apple's Maps application, where they've added cycling as one of the options, and also EV routing so that you can take your electric car on a trip and have charging stations put in for you based on how much juice you have left and what compatible chargers are out there. Also, Apple is now making their own Translate app, which I'm interested to see how it stacks up against Google Translate, but that looks dope. But anyway, to the stuff we actually care about. I am a self-proclaimed iPad producer. I've been really immersing myself in everything that the iPad can do for music production, but also I use the iPad as my main computer. I don't actually use my laptop a lot at all. I use it for maybe one or two tasks that I haven't been able to do well on my iPad. But there's a few things that are going to make using the iPad a lot better with iPadOS 14. So first things first, the iPad benefits from all of the same things that the iPhone is getting in iOS 14. So all the stuff I mentioned before, that is applicable to iPadOS. Editor Jahrell here from the future. Correction. I have since downloaded the iPadOS 14 beta and have discovered that a couple things are not actually still there. We do not get the app library from the iPhone, and we also do not get the ability to add widgets to the home screen. And those are two things that are blowing my mind that they're not in there. But I thought I would keep you informed to make sure I wasn't spreading misinformation. And yes, this is my jawline. You will probably never see it again. Back to the video. But something they're adding to iPadOS is Scribble. So that has to do with your Apple Pencil use. So when you're writing text in your notes, you can do things like smart select your handwritten text and either turn that into printed text or just copy and paste it and put it somewhere else or move it easily. It's easier to add space in the Notes app. Also, if you're drawing a shape and you draw that shape and you pause for just a second, your iPad will automatically turn that shape into the perfect version of that shape automatically. That's dope. So I'm someone that does happen to take all of my notes on my iPad. I like the flexibility of being able to write in with a pencil, the Apple Pencil specifically, and also being able to type in my notes or add in images and things like that. So that's actually going to be really helpful. I use Apple Notes for my scripts for these YouTube videos. So that's going to be awesome. This functionality also extends to any box of text on your iPad. So you're taking your notes, you're going about your business, scribbling it up, and then you want to type something into the Safari search box. You can just write in whatever you need to write into the search box and it will automatically convert to text. I think that's dope, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to appreciate that. Now, while there's a lot coming to iPadOS and iOS, there's a couple things I was hoping we'd see that we didn't this time around. And one of them is real monitor support. So being able to plug your iPad into an external monitor and take up the full width of the screen with other apps open and essentially extend your iPad rather than just mirroring it. I was hoping we'd see that. I think if that's going to happen, it's going to take more time. While Apple has a lot of good ideas, they tend to take their time implementing them. So another thing is actually more of a technical issue that I've been running to, and let me know down in the comments if you're having the same issue. Transferring large files to external storage has been a problem for me, and I might do another whole video talking about this because it's actually pretty crucial to what I do. But I've been having a lot of errors with transferring large video files and other files to an external hard drive. The file either gets corrupted, or if it's a video, it'll have like skips in it or something. So I've had to move to doing everything directly on the iPad. And for somebody that only has a 256 gigabyte iPad Pro, that presents a problem as a video editor. So I was hoping they would roll out some better support, some bug fixes for the file system, and who knows, maybe that will come. It doesn't seem like the kind of thing you just put into a keynote because they probably wouldn't want to let the world know that that was happening. But maybe it's just me. Maybe it's an issue with my iPad. Let me know down in the comments if you're experiencing that issue as well, all of you iPad Pro owners. So another thing that was announced alongside iOS 14 and iPadOS 14 was a few tweaks to Apple's AirPods. So I'm someone that uses my AirPods Pro often for monitoring and for checking the balance and mixing of my tracks. I don't use these as my main headphones when producing for the sole issue of Bluetooth latency. But something they're adding to AirPods is spatial audio, which is kind of like that surround sound type feel, Dolby Atmos and all that stuff. You just gotta see it. It looks dope. I'm interested to see how much of it is actually helpful when it comes to listening to audio, but any improvement for audio quality for something like AirPods is welcome. Something that is really useful though is Apple is finally adding the ability for these AirPods to automatically switch to whatever device I'm using at the time. That is dope. That's something that I wished had been there since the beginning. So say I'm listening to some Spotify in my AirPods through my iPhone, and then I pick up my iPad to watch a YouTube video. My AirPods will automatically pair and connect to my iPad. That's dope. So again, little tweaks that make things way more convenient for using AirPods. They also announced some changes coming to WatchOS. Namely, the most notable one is sleep tracking, which is awesome. I'm someone that does do sleep tracking a lot, and I've been using some of the third-party apps that are available in the App Store, which is great, but there's some things that I wish were better, and I'm excited to see Apple's take on sleep tracking in WatchOS. Another announcement was macOS Big Sur, which is technically macOS 11. We've been on macOS 10 for a long time, but they're making the jump. It's a pretty big visual overhaul. Now, the reason macOS isn't as exciting for me is because I don't actually own a Mac. I've been a PC guy for years. I think I will eventually make that transition. So I am excited to see improvements happen there, but I know a lot of you guys that are out there that are producers, you're using Logic, you're using a Mac, and I bet you're pumped because macOS 11 looks dope, and I know those of you that are going to be in the market for a new Mac are excited to purchase a Mac with Apple's own silicon. That was probably the biggest announcement that happened in this keynote, was that Apple is transitioning away from Intel chips to their own in-house chips in the near future, and that's a game changer. Apple has always been really big on controlling their hardware and their software and making them function really well together. And this is another step in that direction. What Apple is hoping to do with their own chips is to make their Macs powerful, energy efficient, and hopefully thermally efficient, because they have so much oversight over how their software runs on their machines, and their chips are really powerful. It's part of the reason why iPad Pros are considered more powerful than a lot of laptops out there. And it's true. I use an iPad Pro as my everyday computer. And I'm a music producer and a video editor, and I've been getting it done on an iPad, which is pretty impressive. So just about the visuals of the keynote itself, since I haven't been to any other WWDCs in the past, this was my first experience. I think it was dope. The fact that it's having to be held online due to the pandemic is an unfortunate set of circumstances, but the way they pulled off the production of this event, I think, was super dope. Their transitions were dope. And, you know, just the fact that they kept it rolling and they kept it transitioning between different locations, that was cool. Overall, I'm excited. Question of the day: what is the feature you are the most excited for when it comes to either iPadOS, iOS, macOS? What are you the most excited for? Let me know down in the comment section. Also, please make sure you're following me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm gonna start doing some Q&As on this channel, and I really would like to get your guys' input. So if you're not following me there yet, check me out on Twitter and Instagram. Links down in the description. There you have it. An Apple noob enjoying his first WWDC and looking forward to the ones to come. All the creatives out there, go make something dope, and I'll see you in the next video.